Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, thank you so much for clicking on this video and welcome. I make videos focused on lifestyle, real motherhood, real day in your life, well, in my life actually. So if that is something that you're interested in, I would love if you would subscribe to my channel. And now let's get started on today's video. So as you can tell from the title of this video, today I'm going to talk about how I got my baby to sleep through the night. I know this is kind of a controversial topic, but I really wanted to talk about this and kind of just, share with you what we did to have Neal sleep through the night and, just have a nice night sleep for everybody in our family. So Neal is currently 10 months and he has been sleeping through the night for a good amount of time. So we transitioned Neal to his crib in his room when he was 6 months old. Before that, he was sleeping in our room in his bassinet, and if he was waking up in the middle of the night for any pee, we would just give him his formula and he would just go back to sleep again. So that was the extent of how much he was waking up at night before, but since moving into his crib now at 6 months, he has stopped taking any. He doesn't really wake up at night for any feeds or anything, and yes, there are a few days where babies do, it's not always the same. Sometimes they do wake up, so depends on how he's feeling, but otherwise he has been sleeping pretty good. I'm gonna knock on wood for that. But since he was born, we did try to maintain kind of a schedule, and I just wanted to share what we did. Now I would like to just kind of put a disclaimer out there that these are not tips that you should follow. These are just the steps that we took in order for our son to sleep. So take everything with a grain of salt and do whatever suits your son, your family, and your kids best, your baby's best. So I have all of the things that we followed, that we did on my phone right here, so I'm gonna be looking down, taking notes from this. So number one thing that you would probably see coming up as a theme in this video is going to be consistency. And I read somewhere that babies thrive on a routine, and this could not be more true. Babies love knowing that they have a set routine, they have a schedule, not a routine. You don't want to have a set time and that's when they have to feed, that's when they have to sleep. You don't want that. You just want a schedule that after his feeding he's going to play a little, and then he's going to sleep a little, and then he's going to wake up and then eat. So that's kind of a schedule, not set times when he's going to do what. So we always try to do that, but in the beginning it wasn't really feasible for us. For me, I'll talk about that in another video maybe, but what I thought the postpartum period would be like, it was a lot different from what it actually was. And I do want to share with you what I thought postpartum would look like and what it actually was, but it was a lot more exhausting than I had imagined. And on top of that, Neal is he was born in May 2020, so coronavirus, the pandemic was at its peak, so none of our family members could be here. And I know a lot of people do it on their own, and I did it on my own, and I'm a part of me is kind of glad that I did it on my own, so I could really bond with my son that well. But sometimes I just felt like it would have been nice if there was a little bit of help. So because it was just me and my husband, and we were just trying to navigate the new parent life, I was not able to do everything as soon as we got home, but so what happened was that when we brought him home, he would just lounge on the couch in the living room for a good amount of time, and if he would sleep there, oh fine, it's okay, he's just sleeping there. There was no schedule in the beginning. It was working out for him, it was working out for us. It was easier for me because I was my husband was also in the living room, he was working. We were in our apartment back then, so he was working and I was in the living room, so I could cook stuff, cook dinners and lunches, and kind of take care. I was on maternity leave then, in, so I was just kind of like blogging or trying to blog a little bit, but also still like trying to get my energy up, and that went on for like about 2.5 months, and then after that we moved to this house. And after moving is when we actually started to think about like having a set schedule for him. It was also easier after moving because we had a lot more space, so we could put him in his bassinet in our room while we were downstairs doing stuff, and there was noise and he wouldn't wake up. So I would say that about 3 months is when he started to have kind of a schedule. It still was not like a set schedule, but I knew that I wanted to put him on a schedule because it would just make everyone's life so much easier. So one thing that so what I was saying is that consistency is really important for a newborn, for babies to have, because they thrive on having a schedule and having a routine, knowing that okay, so if this is happening, that is what is coming next. So that's something that we tried to do from the beginning. We couldn't, but we did when we actually could. So in terms of him having a consistent routine or a consistent schedule, we had his play times, his nap times, and his like eatings and his feedings and all that. So that brings me to my next point, that is his playtime. We always wanted to have him have a good amount of playtime, and I think that's important, because when babies are like involved in a good amount of play, they're just trying to figure out different things, it's taking up their energy, and you want them to be a little bit tired, so when it's their nap time they can actually sleep. So either my husband or I would just be with him and try to play with him, or just give him, we actually subscribe to those Love Every kits, so they had always those, like they always send you those subscription packages. So I always had those play kits with him whenever he was like awake, so we put him on his tummy and he would just like play a little bit and get tired. And again, like his nap times, like I mentioned in the beginning, if they were like really we were not really that consistent with putting him in his bassinet for his naps. So if he was playing in his play gym, and he would just fall asleep right there, and then I would just think that, oh, he's sleeping, if I would take him to his bassinet he would probably wake up, so I just let him sleep there. So that went on for a few months too, but once I realized that that was not working out well, and he that would just not let him have a good like growing up, I want him to have a good schedule, or just know that, okay, so there is a place for everything, there's a time for everything. So I mean, I know that this is not something that he's going to learn like this, but I want, for myself, I want to think that I am trying my best, and doing this made me feel like I was doing it. I'm doing my best. So like I was saying, having a good playtime with good intuitive play where they're actually using their energy and their mind to do things, do stuff, that is one thing that I think really helped in getting Neal to sleep at his nap time, which brings me to the next point, that is his nap times. Now, nap times are very important. You might think, or people might think, ooh, if my baby won't sleep in the day, he might sleep better in the night, but that's not true, like at all. Babies, they can get overstimulated, overtired, and they just won't sleep at night. So with nap time also, you want to be consistent. Now, so right now Neal is on a 2 nap schedule, so one is kind of like in the late morning and the other is in the late afternoon, and so right now he's kind of like napping. With every nap time, just make sure that whenever that you're giving him the same atmosphere, the same ambience to sleep, that he gets accustomed to that space over time, that whenever he is there, he knows that this is his time to sleep. So for us, what it looks like is changing his diaper, and then putting him in a swaddle, and then putting him in his crib, his sound machine, we put it on, and then put the blinds down. And sometimes I also put like baby music on Spotify, which he likes, and that's his cue that it's time for him to take a nap. He sometimes like makes a few noises and then kind of like just plays for a while, for a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, and then he just goes back to sleep. which has worked really well for us. And then I also try to follow the sleep, eat, play routine. So you know, once he wakes up, he would eat and then he would play, and then after that, once he is tired, he has used up all his energy, that's when he goes for a nap. Earlier when he was a newborn, when he was a baby, he's still a baby, but you know, he's not a newborn anymore. So when he was a newborn, he would just fall asleep on the bottle, or when I started breastfeeding him, he would just fall asleep on the breast. And it's kind of difficult to wake babies up, and it's also like I felt so bad that I was waking him up, because you want babies to sleep a little. You know, you can also get some rest, and I felt really bad. But you don't want babies to associate sleep with feedings, because then once they are like growing up, every time they are like they have to go to bed, they would think that, oh, I need my food, I need something to eat. And you don't want babies to associate food with sleep, or sleep with food. So that's something that I try to follow, that you know, once he sleeps and he's up, then he would eat, and then he would play, and then he would go back to sleep, or for his nap, which is a little bit different for his bedtime, like his nighttime, that I'll talk about in a minute. But that is kind of what we do for his nap times. And like I said, again, we have been trying to be consistent, and for the most part we have been consistent with that, and that has really helped him in, you know, taking a good nap. For his naps, his naps usually varies from like about an hour to like an hour and a half. Sometimes he like goes for longer naps too. My next tip that we followed is having a sleep atmosphere, or a sleep ambience that your baby feels comfortable in. I touched on this a little bit in the nap time part, but like I said, we always do a few things before his nap, so he knows that this is his time to take a nap, so he gets ready. Like I'm guessing that babies process this in their minds, but I think that, you know, once we do all those things every time he's going to take a nap, it registers in his brain that, okay, this is the time that I take a nap. This is happening, the next is this going to happen, and then I'm going to take a nap. So I think that's what babies register, and I think that helps them to get into that schedule. So what we do is, every time he is, you know, starting to get a little bit fussy, or he's like starting to rub his eyes, which is also really important to factor in his sleep cues. I'll make sure that you are paying attention to those sleep cues. So I think every baby does a little bit different, but one thing or two things that I have read a lot of babies do is they would either like yawn, like Neal yawns. He takes a really cute yawn, but he then yawns, and he also rubs his eyes. So we know that he is getting tired, he wants to take a nap, he's a little bit sleepy now. So once we see that he's giving us these sleep cues, we take him to his room, which is already, you know, a little bit dimmed down, and then he changes diaper, so he has a fresh diaper, and he doesn't feel like, you know, he doesn't feel uncomfortable while going to sleep. We change his diaper, then we put him in his swaddle. The swaddle that we are currently using is the one from Halo. I have been using the Halo one since he was born. It is the best, honestly. He loves it so much. We also use the Merlin sleep suit for a few months in between while we transitioned him from his bundled up swaddle to like his arms out swaddle position. So the Merlin sleep suit is really helping him to go into that transition. And then I think the Merlin sleep suit also helped, because it's their skin may get too dry, or if it's too cold, you cannot do it every day. So do something that you can actually follow through every day. So it's kind of a routine for them. So what we do every night is, once we know that okay, it's his time now, so we start with reading a book to him. Now I know a lot of people like read a book after they feed the baby, but I know that if I would read books to Neal after he is fed, he would just be really awake. He would be in the mood to play and not sleep. So I try to do the books first. So we read him a few books. There are a few books that he really loves, and they're actually really fun. So we do the books, and after that he takes his bath. He loves his bath time, and he just sits in there like a king and just lets us bathe him. It's actually really cute. And after that we just put his lotion on. We actually use Aquaphor because he was getting eczema, and our doctor, his pediatrician, recommended to use Aquaphor, and it works really well. Like all through winter he didn't have like dry skin at all, so I've been using Aquaphor like ever since I think he was 2 or 3 months. Then we also have like a little bit of his baby music on Spotify, so he's already getting in that mood. And after we put him in his pajamas, we get his bottle in his room, and I was breastfeeding him for his last meal, but now he's onto a formula, so we take him in his room after that, and that's where we give him his last feed. Even if the other feeds are not in his room, his nighttime feed is always in his room. He gets the feed, and after that we either my husband or I would just try to burp him a little bit, and then when he's still awake but he wants to sleep, we know that he wants to sleep because he has been rubbing his eyes and he has been yawning, and while he was drinking his formula he was trying to fall, he was almost falling asleep, so I know that he wants to sleep. But when we burp him, he is awake now, so we put him down in his crib now when he's awake, and then we just leave the room, again doing everything, putting the sound machine on, and then also a little bit of music on the Spotify, and just blinds are also down because in the morning it can the sun can he might wake up from the sun rays or from the sunshine, so I always try to put the drapes down, the blinds down, and we just leave the room. And after, some days he falls asleep really fast, some days he does cry a little bit. So if he does cry, what we do is first well, in the beginning we were thinking that okay, maybe we can do cry it out, but I just couldn't take it. He would cry and it would just break my heart so much that I knew that I couldn't take it. So now whenever he cries, we just let him do it for a few minutes, maybe say 2 or 3, and then when I know that he's not going to stop crying unless you want him to cry to sleep, which I don't want him to do, I go in the room and just kind of put my hands on him, on his chest or his belly, and just on his head, on his forehead, and just kind of try to soothe him a little bit, and then leave the room. Sometimes that would be enough and he would just be quiet for a little bit, try to self-soothe him, and just go to sleep. Or sometimes he would start crying again, so I again do that, let him cry for a few minutes and then I'll go in again. He has been a pretty good baby in terms of sleeping. I don't want to say good baby because every baby is a good baby, but every baby sleeps differently. So he has been sleeping pretty well since we brought him home from the hospital. But I would say that doing these different things every day has really helped us, and I think they have also really helped Neal in having that set schedule, a consistent schedule on which I think he is thriving, which I said earlier that babies thrive on having a routine. So these are the things that we did, and Neal has been sleeping through the night since he was 4 months old. I know a lot of babies can do that when they are 2 weeks old, or when they're 2 months old, but I wanted to do that once we moved into this house, so it would give me a little bit more space to play around with, and that worked out really well for us. So Neal has been sleeping in his crib for now for the past 4 months, and he has been really doing well. I filmed this whole video while he is still napping, which is amazing. I am going to knock on wood again for that. And if you have any tips or tricks that you implemented with your baby that helped make your life easier and help them sleep through the night so everybody can have a nice night's sleep, please share them in the comment section, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.